let me get straight to the heart of this review. I don't even, not for 1 second. Panic at the Disco. Death of a Bachelor. Am I right there? That's the name of the album?
That is the name of the album.
That is correct, yes.
If you're a massive fan of this album, and of Panic at the Disco in general, then press that dislike button and please move on. This isn't the video for you. You're welcome to stay, but I don't think you're going to enjoy what's going to happen. Okay, let's begin. If I were to describe this album in one word, I would say cringy. If I were to describe it in more words, I would say talented singer, regurgitated lyrics, phrases and sayings, theatrical la-di-da-di-da Nightmare Before Christmas fucking bullshit, then an emulative crooning thing, uninspired, dodgy production from a Skrillex enthusiast. I've said all I need to say. It's your job now to pick up the smashed pieces.
When I first started
children's
listening to
dreams
this album, I was actually not too upset with the first half of the album that much. There was a few songs in there that I didn't, because it started off with Victorious, and I was like, it sounds really overproduced, and it sounds like this album could go either way from here. It could be some interesting stuff, it could be just bad all the way through.
Could it, though?
It got to the second one, Don't Threaten Me With a Good Time. I kind of liked the guitar lick in there.
I liked the name of it because I found it hilarious. This album never threatened me with a good time.
I want to, rather than me just saying stuff at you, I want to ask you, do you not think that Victorious is just completely awful and affirms the fact that this album will be awful? There's no way that I could listen to Victorious and be like, it could go either way. I mean, it was a firm, this is going to be bad.
I know what Panic at the Disco is and what they do, and a lot of, because I like their early stuff, their first album specifically, I liked.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, Gareth, I know you have a soft spot for Panic at the Disco, so could you give us some redeeming features about the album, or just the band in general?
I will give you some redeeming features about Panic at the Disco.
Yeah.
Their first album.
Okay, what's it called?
It has a really long, obnoxious name.
Birth of a Bachelor.
Yeah, hold on. I'll find out. But the first album, I think, is actually, a good album. It's not great, but it is all-round, I think, a good album, and I enjoy it a lot. Their second album had one song which was alright when I was a kid, and then after that I haven't liked anything they've done. But onto this album, there was a few songs near the beginning that I liked, which made me think, oh, maybe I won't mind the song. I liked Don't Threaten Me With a Good Time. I didn't think it was amazing. I thought it was alright. It had the cool guitar lick, and it was kind of upbeat. I liked it. Hallelujah was just boring.
What?
I thought it sounded like a pop single shit.
What did you just say?
I think you should just listen.
You should probably just listen.
No.
Emperor's New Clothes.
Oh, Hallelujah!
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Emperor's New Clothes, which is the main single, I think, from this album. That one I thought was pretty fun. I liked it. It was pretty catchy. I thought it was pretty big and awesome. I liked it.
I thought, much like Ed Miliband, it was the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah, probably. But I thought that was decent. I was like, if this whole album was like that level, I'd be like, this is a decent album. This could be like a 7, maybe. But, and then, it was Death of a Bachelor? Yeah, the title track. I thought it was kind of interesting because it's like a trap crooner song. And it worked surprisingly well.
No, it didn't.
And by surprisingly well, I mean it was like a 5 out of 10 or something. It was like,
no,
I was like,
I'll agree with
oh, there's
that.
some kind of interesting
I'll agree
stuff
with
in
the
there.
5
It
out
kind
of
of,
10.
I was like, it went by surprisingly well. I mean, I thought, if someone did this except good, it would be interesting. Whereas when I first was like, it's kind of a trap crooner song, I was like, that sounds like the worst combination you could ever think of.
It's a fucking Frankenstein of a song.
I
shouldn't have been created.
I thought it was at least an interesting
before
idea.
Running through
and after that,
every song on the second half, just summarise what you think of the second half.
After that, after Death of a Bachelor, it just got boring and bad and just worse as it went on. And I was just like, yeah, this has lost all of my hope for this album having alright. Because up until then, I'd sort of thought at least half of the songs were 6s or 7s. And then the other half were 3s or 4s. And I was like, it could have a sort of middle ground of being alright, but it just didn't.
Let me interject. Victorious was awful. It was so bad. It was a 3 out of 10. It was the worst song on the album, in my opinion.
Oh, I didn't think that.
It was... Wow.
I
wanted to throw up. It was genuinely, offendingly...
Just as a point as well, we sound like we're coming from very different angles, Me saying that song was alright as like it could go either way, I still would give it like a 4. So
Okay.
I'm not actually giving it much higher than
So, then there's a really generic song, Don't Threaten Me With a Good Time. It was just generic. It just sounded like... yeah. There was a particular lyric where he said, "I'm not as think as you drunk I am." And I was like, this guy's good!
Some of the lyrics,
guy's good!
Some of the lyrics in this, you described it best at the start, are cringy. Like,
Yeah.
some of it gets to absolute, like, he's trying to do the emo thing still, like...
Yeah, and like
years
they just
after
they
he
start
should've
saying
done
like a whole chorus like, "Finders keepers, losers weepers."
Oh my
and, like,
god, the fact that was the hook.
Yeah.
Finders, keepers,
Yeah.
losers, weepers was a hook for a
It's
song.
like, oh, you thought about that one for a while, didn't you, mate?
Yeah.
Nice one.
Hallelujah was just in your face.
Hallelujah's
like,
hook was
all
pretty
the
much...
time.
Hallelujah.
It was just in your face. It was just like, it never gave up. It was a relentless...
And it was relentlessly boring.
Yeah, it was.
You know what some of these songs were? They were weak and feeble song concepts that were vastly overblown.
And you know what? It's kind of sad, because I can tell this guy's a talented...
Exactly.
He's a good
Like-
singer.
very good.
Yeah,
singer.
incredible
He's got a great
singer.
voice.
Really good singer,
I like
actually.
the variety and like the range he actually
Yeah,
like
he's got
goes for.
And
incredible
he
range.
does all the instrumentation.
Yeah.
All of it. And yet, you can tell he's got the talent to do it, but he just isn't doing
He's
it
had
in a
some-
way which could be, like,
He's
beneficial
had some
to
good
mankind.
features as well. Some good features on other stuff. There was a Dylan Francis song where he featured on, which I think was really good, because it's like it sort of has a bit of his sort of weirdness sort of in there, but it has someone else who's like, no, I'm gonna make this actually like good, you know.
Well, I was thinking about this earlier today, and I thought, you know what? I can't be too harsh on this album because 12-year-olds need music too. And then I thought, on the other hand, grow the fuck up. Listen to some good music.
And that's the thing. I listened to the original Panic
Crazy Equals Genius. He totally like dissed Mike Love from the Beach Boys. He was like, "You're exactly like Mike Love, but you want to be Brian Wilson," which is a very subtle way of saying everyone knows Brian Wilson's better than Mike Love. But you can't be dissing Mike Love when you're Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. When you can't be dissing a member of the Beach Boys. It's just
What
not
did you
fair,
guys think
man.
of Impossible Year?
Oh, okay. Before I say that, I want to say, like, those following, like, 6, 7, 8, and 9, those tracks,
Crazy Genius, up to
generic,
Impossible Year.
boring, like, I don't know what that was. House of Memories, there was a tempo shift, like, halfway through, and I was like, wow, this is a 9 out of 10, right? Fucking tempo shift. I was just like, wow, okay. Then it got to Impossible Year, and I listened to it, and I went all the way through, and I wrote down these words. Holy shit, this isn't even bad. What the fuck? Like, that was a decent song. It wasn't the style of the album. It was like, kind of like a Frank Sinatra
Yeah, it was just
piano ballad. And
Exactly.
it wasn't amazing. It wasn't like great. It wasn't the best lyrics, but it wasn't anything like super cheesy. I was actually impressed.
My
Like,
thing
I
with
would
it
listen to
is
that
just-
song again.
I don't know. I thought when I got there, because there's a lot of sort of Frank Sinatra croonery sort of stuff throughout there where he's trying to put
Yeah.
it in stuff. And I just thought, like, I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting, the idea of putting it with other stuff, but it's not really It's not really executed right in any of
Yeah.
these things. And then it got to that, and I was like, it doesn't have anything from the earlier album that annoyed me, but I felt like it was just boring. It was just not good enough for that sort of song, and I was just like, there's so many like good songs like this that I could listen to if I wanted to, and
Yeah, there
this
are.
is not
There are.
one that I would go to, especially as it's not something I listen to often. I'm not going to get bored of anything Frank Sinatra anytime soon.
I wrote down was the best song on the album, and I didn't even like it that much. But I thought, you know what? I appreciate what he was trying to go for, and it was just that's why I said emulating crooners. It sounded like Michael Bublé tried to be Frank Sinatra, and then he tried to be Michael Bublé. Yeah.
It was.
But-
It's so weird because you can tell this guy's incredibly talented, and yet he's using this talent for music, which only appeals to a very small demographic, and that demographic probably doesn't appreciate how much
Work he
fucking
puts into it.
work he must put into it. But at the same time, like, I don't know. A lot of thought goes into how it's not structured musically, but the
The
song
style of it.
structure, but the instrumentation behind it. And you can tell that he is a talented guy, and you can tell he's got a great voice. but he's just using it in the wrong way.
Are you saying he's not using his powers for good?
He's using them for evil.
When was the last album from this? Does he smash one out every year? Or is he like...
It's not quite every year, but it's
Thanks,
he keeps up. He hasn't had like much of a break, I don't think.
Fair enough. Well, favourite songs on the album? I'm just going to go for Impossible Year.
Impossible Year.
No, sorry, least worst song on the album.
Least worst song on the album. Impossible Year.
I would say Emperor's New Clothes. I thought that was alright. Don't Threaten Me With a Good Time I thought was decent. I quite liked it. It had a sort of West Knee guitar lick.
Okay. I can't bring myself to mention any other songs in any kind of good light. James?
Album out of 10?
I was going to say favourite song. Did you mention your favourite song?
Oh yeah, Impossible Year. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Sweet. Marks out of 10. Gareth?
4.
James?
It's very difficult. It's either a 3 or a 4. I'm going to go for... I'll put a 4 just because Impossible Year, like...
Yeah.
That is swaying me. If that wasn't there, it's a 3.
Yeah. I'm going for a 3, just because... Didn't like it.
It's a good reason to give it a 3, to be honest.
Yeah. Sorry, Panic at the Disco fans.
Also, as you asked earlier, the first album's called A Fever You Can't Sweat Out.
Okay.
And it was nothing amazing, but it was like 7 out of 10 maybe.
Yeah.
I quite liked it.
Maybe it sat better in its year when it came out.
Yes, it's definitely of the time. And I feel like he's still making music of that time.
Yes.
Just with a more modern, overdone production.
Yep. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you liked that video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, because you're a Panic at the Disco fan, then we apologise very much. And give us a thumbs down.
Enjoy Panic at the Disco. There's nothing wrong with that.
And you know what?
You are wrong, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Give us some hate. We appreciate all kinds of attention. You know.
The more creative, the better.
Exactly.
At least you can appreciate that we did give you a disclaimer.
Don't just tell us to die, tell us how you want us to die.
And if you
Be
appreciate
interesting.
the fact we gave you a bit of notice, like saying, yo, we appreciate the fact you might dislike this, then subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's a fact.
Hopefully you won't dislike all of our other videos.
Yeah, we like good music.
Although you might.
You probably will.
Bye. If I were to describe it in more words, I would say talented singer, regurgitated lyrics, phrases and sayings, theatrical la-di-da-di-da Nightmare Before Christmas fucking bullshit, then an emulative crooning thing, uninspired, dodgy production from a Skrillex enthusiast. I've said all I need to say. It's your job now to pick up the smashed pieces of
When I first
children's
started listening to
dreams
this album, I was actually not too upset with the first half of the album that much. There was a few songs in there that I didn't, because it started off with Victorious, and I was like, it sounds really overproduced, and it sounds like this album could go either way from here. It could be some interesting stuff, it could be just bad all the way through.
Could it, though?
It got to the second one, Don't Threaten Me With a Good Time. I kind of liked the guitar lick in there.
I liked the name of it because I found it hilarious.
Wait.
This album, never threatened me with a good time.
I want to, rather than me just saying stuff at you, I want to ask you, do you not think that Victorious is just completely awful and affirms the fact that this album will be awful?
There's
no way that I could listen to Victorious and be like, it could go either way. I mean, it was a firm, this is going to be bad.
I know what Panic at the Disco is and what they do, and a lot of, because I like their early stuff, their first album specifically.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, Gareth, I know you have a soft spot for Panic at the Disco, so could you give us some redeeming features about the album, or just the band in
I will
general?
give you some redeeming features about Panic at the Disco.
Yeah.
Their first album.
Okay, what's it called? Panic at the Disco. Death of a Bachelor. Am I right there? That's the name of the album?
That is the name of the album.
That is correct, yes.
If you're a massive fan of this album, and of Panic at the Disco in general, then press that dislike button and please move on. This isn't the video for you. You're welcome to stay, but I don't think you're going to enjoy what's going to happen. Okay, let's begin. If I were to describe this album in one word, I would say cringy. Let me get straight to the heart of this review. I don't even, not for 1 second,